Hey folks, good morning. Coming to you with another Lead the Field video, and I'm going to do the Blue Hills Health video. I will have zero time at the work. I don't even know if I have internet because of the way the construction workers cut the internet lines. So, Lead the Field. This video will be all about destiny and the balance. Now, what do we mean by destiny? Well, what did Earl Nightengale mean? It just means your future, right? But when we talk about it in Chinese sciences, we mean something a lot more specific. And there is a difference between destiny and fate. This is an important aspect. And if I need to demonstrate to you the difference, you cannot say that Bruce Lee reached his entire destiny. Part of the sadness of the entire world was that the man was robbed by his fate of his destiny. This made everyone very sad because it seemed that he had a much brighter future still ahead of him, and therefore it was all the more shocking. And that happens a lot, you know. The degree of sadness to which people will be obviously very dependent on how much was sort of left in the tank. What I also call, how many sandcastles can you build? Right, so when you go to the beach, let's say you take your sandcastle building equipment. There are people who are going to spend all day making one amazing castle. There are going to be some people who are able to make a few pretty good castles. And then there are some people who are going to spend their life making, 20, 30 measly castles. It's all a matter of what gets the person. Like, if they're interested in a lot of different things, they're probably going to make a lot of smaller castles. I'm kind of in the middle. I like to make really good castles, but several different ones. I'm not one of those magnum opus kind of people that I'm going to make one big castle and call it, because, first of all, you don't know where the tide's going to come. And secondly, there's always people that want to trample on your castles. You can watch them if you ever go to the beach. Watch people when they look at it, especially the children, obviously. When they see the sandcastles, they're waiting for the chance to go over and step on it. I've seen this so many times, it's not even funny. That is how it is to chase destiny. Now, the destiny is contained within you. And so, therefore, what you're really doing is digging out your own internal sandcastle. You're really bringing out the best part of you and then giving it to the world. It is a gift, and for which everybody is sent. Now, if you don't want to give that gift, if you just want to have like a beautiful body, then keep your spirit chi all for yourself. That's fine. There's no law saying you have to give the world the gift that you were given so that you could give. But I don't know. I feel like one can't really be truly happy unless you're a very carefree person. If you're a very carefree person, then it doesn't really matter. And then, it's okay if your gift to the world is that you work at a senior citizen center, such as this one right here. That's okay. In which there's nothing to be ashamed about. If you're, however, more like me, where you feel like you want to give something to the world, you want to shake the foundations of the world, you want to make a change, even if it's a small change to only one person at a time, then you need to know about destiny. So let's talk about Xing Ming. Okay, Xing Ming. Xing means nature, and Ming technically means brightness, but it means also destiny, and it's kind of like a contractual relationship with the heaven force, with Tian Yi, heaven's will. And in order to attain your destiny, you have to be sitting on top of the throne inside of you. Basically, you're an internal king. Now, to do that, you need the heaven's mandate, Tian Ming. So it's the same Ming. The heaven mandate is received by a king or queen, if you're female, for ruling the body correctly, from head to root, all the chakras in a row, and for keeping going an entire cycle. Of course, giving out and receiving back, everything cycling around, and all of that forming a sort of like a vortex, and it keeps going. It's like the Jupiter red spot. It keeps going, and it's self-protective, but it's also obviously built to do something, to accomplish something. One of the things that makes warlords or rebels, I guess, so popular is that they bring a certain level of confidence and belief that I am born to do this. I am born, if you're George Washington, I am born to overthrow the British in these colonies. And that attracts men of spirit who are going to go that extra mile. They're going to, ford the Delaware in the middle of the night for you. And they're going to walk in the snow with no shoes, and they're still going to fight when they get to the other side. Why? Because your willpower and your spirit brings that out of them. In these days of kind of mediocrity, of peace, there's so many of us now, it's difficult to sort of become your own George Washington, your own force for change. And you really have to rely on all the pieces. In which case, some of the other Chinese sciences, other than the art of war, become equally important. In this case, like feng shui. Feng shui is based on the idea that we want energy continuously feeding to us, and for us to also, of course, put back out, and to enrich in ourselves and enrich in all those around us, enrich in their lives, right? You're not just feeding off of them. That's all dark side stuff, right? Just like constantly sucking the energy out of other people. That's not good. But, there should be a reciprocal behavior. That can also lead towards destiny. However, it's a meandering. So it's the difference between a mighty roaring river, some kind of Yangtze or something. There's only a few people who can be as great as the Amazon or the Mississippi or the Nile. But there are plenty of different kinds of rivers out there. If your life is more crashing or turbulent, if it's the Colorado River, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all. However, in the Chinese thought, basically, you want to be more like here in Lexington and the bluegrass, the elkhorn. The elkhorn is a kind of a flat and even. It meanders. It provides plenty of fish. It's very peaceful, and it doesn't get anywhere really fast. So in a short distance, it has a very long life. Right? It's nearly 100 miles long, and it has 2 forks. So there is a husband and wife pair. And it finally reaches together into the Kentucky, which itself is already a long, very long-lived, very winding, and generally very peaceful river. Like the Kentucky River does not flood super often. It is very ancient. The riverbed is very ancient. The cliffs, there's a calm peace to it. There's a lot of history to the Kentucky. So the Elkhorn and the Kentucky River really demonstrate the Taoist concept of what kind of destiny is worth having. Now, it isn't that, it isn't worth being top dog or champion. How many people would love to be a Michael Jordan or a Wayne Gretzky, Mike Tyson, some kind of really like superstar? Many people. However, for the most of us, where that's not going to happen, there's 7 billion of us on the planet. Not all of us can be Michael Jordan. So where the most of us are not going to have that, the Chinese decided in their philosophies that you should let go of seeking wealth and fame for the sake of wealth and fame. If it comes, then it comes, and if it doesn't, then it wasn't part of your star chart. It wasn't part of your bazi. And you have to instead seek a life that's worth fulfilling. And the thought here is, take like Shaolin Dao. There's a way of living that is according to a set code. It could be a knight's code or a samurai code like Bushido. Something where you are part of something bigger than you and you can give back. It could be church too. There's nothing saying it has to be martial. There's nothing saying it has to be Artistic, it could be merely just spiritual service, and you could be fulfilling your destiny there. Now, is it possible that you have multiple destinies? Yes, because there are multiple quantum worlds in the potential probability index. However, that doesn't mean that you can act, it's the probability thing is a really huge part. In order to shift in any type of magical system, in order to shift, it requires energy. In order to shift destinies, requires both energy and time. So it's going to take a long time for you to move from one destiny to another destiny. If you don't like your career, if you don't like your marriage, if you don't like everything that's going on around you, you can make the change, but it has to come from within, and of course you really need heaven's mandate. If you fight against that, you risk losing your lease on life. You risk literal retraction. And I'm not saying that's what happened to Bruce Lee. He made some choices. Drugs are dangerous, and mixing drugs with prescription meds is also very dangerous. And the constraints on his Ming were too high, and that's probably why he was so stressed. He required of himself a perfection which may not be humanly feasible. I don't think that people should require perfection. You want to have the chi tight, but you don't want to have it too tight, because as the Buddha noted, if the string is too loose, it won't play, and if it's too tight, it will snap. You don't want that kind of tension in your life. You want it to be loose and meandering a bit. Although with me, I try to make it a lot of meandering and a lot of different kinds of terrain. I like to see lots of types of terrain. I like to see, I'm not saying I go out and I seek trouble, but it's a great thrill when you have a big victory, because you've been going through a turbulent patch of stone. And for me personally, I'm cutting my river. I want a deep gorge. I want an interesting gorge, and I do want to get to that smooth bottom. But on the way, I want to say that I've lived something. I'm a young river, but I'm quickly becoming more like the Kentucky as much as I can. However, it is something to say, like, a habit is a habit. If I don't, I was meditating on this morning, if I don't start wu-weighing more, it would be difficult to suddenly institute wu-wei closer to retirement age. You've got to gauge how you're going to use your energy, right? Because what we talked about is Tao. In the natural magic series, we talked about Tao is, a lot of it is about energy management. You've got to manage your energies, all your types of energies, your willpower, your essence, your spirit. Everything really needs to be managed pretty actively. And hopefully you will reach a place of stability. If not, because it could be in your Bodza chart that the later part of your life is where the difficulties will come. In which case then, start thinking about how to conserve your energy. Now, how can you know that ahead of time? Well, we can do calculations, obviously. We can look at your Bodza chart. Another thing is you can just meditate deeply and see how things are going. Are they trending in your direction or not? Many people have said, I never expected to even make it to 30, and they live in their 50s and 60s. Of course, a lot of them have miserable health because they just didn't treat their body very well when they were young. And you don't want to be like that. You definitely don't want to be 70 and feel like you're 100. Or 60 and feel like you're 90. That is not considered an excellent management of the energy. However, if you're looking for an experience, if you're looking for experiences, then have them. If you like jumping out of airplanes or wearing those crazy squirrel suits, then do it. Just realize that there is the possibility that you could be violating some part of the Tian Ming, in which case then Tian Yi may alter your reality. Now, how does it do that in the case of I don't know, it's hard to say. Sometimes there's chaos that seems to really truly come from nowhere, and it's such wild chaos that it almost seems to me to be heaven sent. Now, I'm not talking about birds running into fastballs, right? That's fate. That bird made a choice, and it just timing. I do not believe that heaven designed that bird to then later on run it into a fastball. What I would say that the superstructure, the source, the matrix, when it intervenes, it's obvious to you at the time. It's not obvious ahead of time, and it may not be exactly obvious in hindsight. But at the time, you will know, like, boom, I'm getting either the smackdown or a correction of some kind. There's a lot of instant karma videos. Might be a way of demonstrating, people when they're showing off or something, and then something happens right when they're showing off. That might be a good example. Of course, that's their inner soul causing them to do whatever it is that they've done to cause the smackdown. There are instances of earth-shifting events. There are certainly cases of chaos that are heartbreaking and maybe guided more by the darker hand. There, in particular, I'm thinking of a case of chaos that caused fate to be met. A pregnant woman, this is in Lexington some years ago, and I always think about this case. There's no way she could have known that day was her final day. There was bad construction, and they had loosened this pylon, and somebody backed into the pylon, and it pushed it off of the parking structure, and it landed on this pregnant woman, and obviously smashed her and the baby. And I thought about the father, and I thought about, obviously for her, it was really clear, right, that the chaos caused her fate to be met and her destiny to be robbed. And that's what's so sad about it to me. But also what's so sad is thinking about the father and thinking about, how to deal with when chaos wins in your life, and then how to deal with going forward from there. If you meet one of those places, bear in mind the possibility, probability matrix, or index or cloud, whatever you want to call it. And those are the times when you will have the right afterwards, like the calm after the storm, to make changes and to take the reins of your destiny once again. You may not feel like it, but that's precisely what you have to do. Because humans cannot live feeling disempowered. We already have luck and chaos and fate and karma. And karma is really hard to change on purpose, right? It's easy to change on its own passivity. But and mostly day to day, we don't feel like it changes. So that fifth one, destiny, it is so important that you feel like you have the strength to go out and chase your destiny. And I just want you to really think about that every day, if you can win every day, that leads to a winning week, a winning month, a winning year, and a winning life. And you may only win 51 out of 100, but that's still winning. If darkness beats you 49 times, it may feel like 4,900. But you can look back and say, I am definitely winning. You should see my to-do list. All I do is every day, boom, I'm winning something. And then days like today, you get a mix. I'm in a way I'm losing today, but I'm already also winning today. And so I feel this push and pull, and I feel optimistic. And at the same time, obviously, I'm very cautious. Art of War is always very cautious. You're always looking for the next side swipe. And if you can mitigate those things, all the better. Because you're worth it, and your destiny is worth it. Don't give up. That's the one thing I ask, especially in these times when the solar system circuit is changing. Don't give up. Keep fighting for the future. And if I start to give up, you hold me accountable. You say, hey, Shifu, you said on June 21st, 2018, to not give up. Because our destiny is worth it. Whatever your destiny is, I support it, obviously, as long as it's, heavenly mandated. If one of you feels like you're going to be destined to be a sociopathic murderer, no, that's not what this means, okay? But I doubt that anybody watching this video is going to be like, yeah, I've decided to become a prostitute, I think that the vast majority are going to seek good changes, good causes, and try to make a difference in the world. I believe in you. That's why I joined the light side. I made an active choice to be on the light side. Why? Because I believe in the common person's ability to affect the world. It's kind of like Gandalf, he believes the little people can change things. We are the little people. So let's affect the world in a positive way and swing the destiny of mankind. Because if we don't, if we keep letting it be dictated by the recovering from the cataclysms and by the crazy politicians and the New World Order and all the agendas, if we let that win, what does it really say about us? It really says we didn't believe in ourselves and we didn't believe in each other. And truly we are supposed to love thy neighbor as much as we can. As much as we can. You may not be able to love your neighbor, but you can at least want them to be successful. And so share the concepts of destiny with your loved ones. Share them with your friends. Be your brother's keeper and look for chances to help them sway their destiny in the positive direction that you would want somebody to support you and help to sway your destiny in a positive direction. But bear in mind, there may be times when no one is coming to your aid, and it's all about, can you sway your own destiny? And that's why we practice this supreme and secret science. All right, I'll see you in the next video. I'll do a health video. Of course, that'll be on the Blue Lotus channel. All right, have a good one.